And with that out of the way, we can answer Garrido's question, who he's been waiting patiently. Thank you so much for that. So he says, like, if you listen to Chris Paul mic'd up, being a field general, that's basically him. So you're basically that on-court coach that a lot of teams will find value in that. And you don't necessarily have to be the point guard to be the on-court coach, even though, like, chances are being the point guard means you're being the smartest player. You are usually the smartest player on the court, and you usually are the one that remembers how to run the offense better than most other players. Even though now in this league, it's sort of like expected that everyone knows exactly what to do. But again, being that on-court coach is definitely very helpful for a lot of these players. So that way, you help the team by giving your voice. And that's something that a lot of teams are going to find value. And it's very rare to find that kind of value or to find that kind of player that could coach on the court. And it's like you talked about CP3 doing it, but in my mind, I'm thinking of LeBron, where it's literally like he'll come up with a play like right on the fly, and he'll tell him, you there, and be ready, or something like that. And then if it works one time, he'll be like, run it again. And it works. I mean, they find value in it, and it's like there's nothing you can really do about it because it works. So definitely can see the value in that. But regardless, let's go and look at the power rankings. Let me just open them up real quick because for some reason it's not opening up. There we go. That's a lot better. So already right off the rip, I am not liking this list because the Celtics are number one, and I really do not think they should be number one over a team like the Denver Nuggets. Because, again, Nuggets, they've beaten them several times. I haven't even opened the list, and I'm already infuriated because it's like, why are the Celtics in the one spot? What did they do to get themselves so high? Like, yay, they beat the Kings, they beat the Blazers, they beat the Thunder, they beat the Hornets, they beat the Pelicans. All of those, like, some of those are really good teams. I get it, but the Nuggets, they swept them in the series. Like, they're better than them. I don't understand why these rankings are like this. And, I mean, I guess it might be because, like, the Nuggets, they lost to the Clippers, but we're not going to act like the Clippers are a bad team. I know that the Clippers didn't have Kawhi Leonard, but the Nuggets, they didn't have Jamal Murray in this game either, if I remember correctly. Let me just go ahead and look at the box scores. Yeah, they did not have Jamal Murray in this game either, yet they're taking a tank in the power rankings. Why? No one knows. But regardless, let's actually go into the list. I am very, very upset that the rankings changed, and I don't like how Boston is number one whatsoever. I get it. They are the best team. They have 62 wins, and they have the best record in the NBA by far. But, I mean, the Denver Nuggets, they already beat them twice, and they've literally continued to keep winning. So they're probably second on this list, which is, like, it's not that bad, but still, it's like, why even bother moving them? Doesn't make much sense to me. So next is probably going to be the T-Wolves. Oh, never mind. It's OKC for some reason. I don't understand why they're giving OKC all this credit when it should be given to the Timberwolves, but that is just me. I'm going to go ahead and look at the games that the Timberwolves played and the games that the Thunder played over the last week. So they lost to the Timberwolves. They beat the Lakers. They lost to the Suns. They beat the Raptors. They beat the Rockets. They lost to the Bulls, and they beat the Nuggets. So it's really like the important teams that like I'm really paying attention to, and the teams that like, because now we're sort of at that time where it's like losing to bad teams. It matters, but when you're winning against the better teams, does it really matter? Like that's sort of the stage and point in where we are in this NBA season, because it's like if you drop a game with a bottom-feeding team that you're not going to play with in the playoffs, or that you're not even going to have to worry about, it's like, why take that loss into so much account? Like, why make that loss way more than what it actually is? I don't understand. But, that's sort of how it goes. And it's like, I don't agree with it whatsoever, especially now that like the Timberwolves, they are the number one seed. in the Western Conference, so they're probably they are fourth on this list. Again, I don't really like this list and how it's going so far because it's just gotten a lot of things wrong in my personal opinion. So Corrido, he has more to say. I did have to bring up the ball a lot in our seasons. Sometimes some of my teammates don't like it because we have the lead, but it goes from 10 to 5-point lead. I bring the ball down to slow the pace and I get high, whatever that means. I don't know exactly what he's trying to say. Bring the ball down sometimes, but some of my teammates don't like it because they love to play fast and and then your lead shrinks and then you just slow the pace down. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. It doesn't matter whether the team likes it or not. I mean, part of it is because you got to do what the team likes, but it's if it's not working, there's got to be someone has to step in and say something, and being that on-court coach and making those adjustments is something that is desperately needed, especially when facing against tough competition that's able to adjust to your adjustments. You need to be able to make those adjustments on the fly, and that's where we set the difference apart from good coaches and bad coaches. Coaches that are good can make those adjustments. Bad coaches cannot seem to make those adjustments. Doc Rivers. But regardless, back to this list, the Mavericks are 5th, so they jump really high, and I understand why they're ranked this high because of how well they've been doing since the All-Star break and how they've been keeping up that momentum throughout the entirety, through the last 2 months, through the last 3 months. And, I guess it makes sense that they're, this high. But at the same time, I would probably put, the Clippers above them because they've been winning games without Kawhi Leonard. Meanwhile, the Dallas Mavericks have been winning games off of, the struggle and the sweat of Kyrie and Luka Doncic. So they're probably ranked directly underneath them, honestly. Yep. So the Bucks, they completely fell off. The Bucks were 4th, and then they just completely fell off the face of the earth at one point. They're probably sitting at 8 or 9 right now, the Milwaukee Bucks. I would not be surprised given how they've lost. Yep, Phoenix being 7th, so they move all the way up. That totally makes sense given how they just took the playoff spot. However, their playoff spot is still in jeopardy if the Lakers can end up winning out and they end up losing out. So that possibility is still there. And the Lakers, they play the Warriors tonight, so I'm going to tune into that game and watch LeBron absolutely destroy the Golden State Warriors because he's LeBron James, and there's nothing more that needs to be said. The Bucks are 8th, so I was right about where the Bucks are going to be landing. So Milwaukee, they're up and down. Now they're down, and it's a really bad time to be down because the playoffs are coming very, very soon, and it's you really can't make this up you really just cannot make this up with Doc Rivers. It's makes the situation worse every single time, and I do not understand why teams even bother with him. Corrido's still in the chat. He says, keep in mind, I am a 5'9", 5'10" guard, and I am in post getting rebounds and only one setting screens, and I am kind of the only one that does off-ball movement, and I get a lot of open threes. So, now we're sort of living in an era where it's off-ball movement, unless it's coordinated, is a little bit less advised because right now offenses are just give the ball to the best player, let him do what he wants to do, and get out of his way. And be ready to shoot. That's usually what the job is now for shooters and players who aren't necessarily ball handlers. But that doesn't necessarily matter. If you're a team player and you're doing what the team likes and you are still playing within the system and you're not doing anything too crazy, and if what you're doing is just trying to help the team, I don't see no problem in it. And it's I don't see why anyone else would see a problem with it. You're just trying to win. And it's I cannot hate on someone for trying to win whatsoever, whether it be running around off screens, whether it be trying to will the team back, whether it be telling the players where to stand, what to do, even if they're shooting really, really badly, still trying to figure out how to win is just the most important part. And honestly, the Bucks, they have not figured that out yet whatsoever, and Doc has not been the answer. Next team on this list is the Pelicans. I swear to God, if the Knicks are out of the top 10, I am going to lose it because they have not moved from the top 10 since I don't even know how long, but like a month or something like that. And it does not make any sense to me because they're good this year. And it's like, why are the Knicks getting this kind of hate? I don't understand. But Pelicans, even without Brandon Ingram, they're still a very formidable team, and they still have a lot of pieces that make it difficult to guard. And Zion, he can go off at any given night whenever he's able to. And his dominance in the paint is just something that we're accustomed to seeing in the league now just because of like how talented he is, but it's really like a rare sight to see someone as dominant at the height that he is. And Kratos says, the only crazy thing I've done is no-look passes, and I mastered the no-look passes. Oh, so he's magic now, going, hee. If you guys remember that that interview when he was talking about Team USA and playing against Michael Jordan. And the Knicks, okay, so they're in the top 10, so I'm not going to blow a fuse. Thank the Lord that they're in the top 10, even though I feel like they should be a lot higher. They should be here, and the Bucks should be down here, but that's just me, especially since the Knicks beat the Bucks in the previous week, and that doesn't make any sense. Why are they ranked lower than them? Like, they're the better team. They're clearly, and they're not even healthy. But all right. Okay. 3 games that Joel Embiid is back, and all of a sudden it's like, whoop, Phillies all moves all the way up from 19th all the way to 11th. What? Like, not even going to give it any time first? Like, are we serious? That is terrible. Like, they're ranked better than the Kings. And the Kings have been dominant throughout the entire season. They've been playing very good basketball, and they have so many snubs on that team where it's like De'Aaron Fox should have been an all-star. Sabonis by far should have been an all-star. And they also have Malik Monk, who's in the running for Sixth Man of the Year, I believe. And it's like they have all of these pieces. Why are they getting such disrespect? Let's see. Okay, Orlando Magic, they're getting some respect in these power rankings. They're moving up to number 13, even though I wouldn't mind seeing them at like 15 or like 16 in the mid-tier. Now, Pacers, they just do not move from that 14th spot whatsoever. Like, their offense is just so good, but their defense is just so bad. So it's like they have to be in that middle category. But I think 15 would have been better, especially with how the Lakers have been playing. Now, if they beat Golden State, they should definitely be up over the Pacers. Now, the Miami Heat, finally, they're getting an actual ranking that I agree with at the 16th mark. Like, somewhere in that mid-tier is where Miami should be, and they finally got it right on this list. Now, Golden State, 17th. Again, still like they're really bad. No, they're not really bad. Excuse me. They're not really bad. They are in a really bad situation, is what I meant to say. And it's a tough spot to be in because it's like they're trying to rely on the same big three that they've relied on for years, and Klay Thompson doesn't show up and isn't consistent, and neither is Steph Curry. Not to mention Draymond Green getting ejected like 9 out of 10 games. And all of that stuff is just going to play into effect in the playoffs. All of that drama is going to play into effect as well. And it's just not something that that's not ideal. And now the Cavs, they're 18th. And they tanked horrendously after being ranked 12th. And I'm very surprised that they were tanking this hard. But, I mean, it's just basketball. Like, you have your lows and you have your highs. And I guess they finally just hit their low. Houston, they've got eliminated from play-in contention, so it makes sense how they're going to be ranked 19th. And all the other teams below that, the rest are just meh. They're not going to change that much. I mean, it's like bottom-feeding team after bottom-feeding team after bottom-feeding team. And now the Detroit Pistons, it's literally just like Charlotte, Detroit, and Washington just fighting it out, figuring out which team is going to be the worst team in the NBA towards the end of the season. And that's basically it for the power rankings, and that's really, like, not really Not really anything like, I mean, there was a lot that was surprising, honestly, like with how the list was made, and like how a lot of the rankings they changed, and by how much they changed, not just like the fact that they changed, but by how much they changed is like, you know, apart from like 2, 3, 4, and 5, I didn't really agree with most of it. So I think this would be like the weakest power ranking list so far. Now, I believe that we'll have one more opportunity to look at power rankings just before the play-in tournament starts. So I'll go ahead and look at that and see like what the teams are going into the playoffs and going into the play-in. But with that, we are out of time for this second segment. So now I will go ahead and go into the third segment where I talk about all the NBA games that are going to happen tonight. Now, usually I do my NBA recap, but there was no games happening yesterday because of the NCAA tournament game. So I will be right back after this short break to talk about all the games that are going to be going down.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.